Welcome back to another episode of What Are We Watching? All right. Hello. Friday the 13th, the date, and I guess the movie. I fucked that up. Should we just keep going?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I don't know. Sometimes do you ever think that you're worthless?
Oh. How much time do we have?
Yeah. We're just going to let the tape roll and see where we land.
I can tell you how worthless I am for the next hour and 30 minutes.
Great. Should we get Emily and Olivia in here and just really... That'd be so cool. Could you guys...
Imagine if it was cross-thrashing, like Emily was just tearing me apart.
Yeah.
And then Olivia, I don't know what Olivia would have on you. At least Emily works with me, so she would know.
Yeah.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah.
But
Olivia just like, look at his fucking
she's just
stupid
tearing me
face.
apart. And we're just sitting there like, wow.
Be like, God. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Ish. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Ish?
chilling.
Nice.
Good-ish.
Cool,
doing what we can.
Cool. How are you enjoying the Halloween month?
The month of All Hallows Eve. It's been a good one. I haven't been watching as many scary movies as I thought I would. It's been a lot more war than I mean, that's scary.
That's
in a
real
way.
horror.
Yeah, I did. I watched Band of Brothers, and then I watched all of the Pacific, and now I'm finally.
So you heard October, and you're like, all right, cool.
Be like, yeah, it's time to
Series is
invade Europe.
Yeah, okay.
So shout out to our we have a listener in London.
What a cool segue from.
I didn't. Yeah, I guess that was kind of wild. But hey, reach out to us. Say what's up. This is a terrible one. So what movie are we covering? What did you watch first, actually?
Well, I think we're covering Friday the 13th because it's Friday the 13th, and on Friday the 13th you watch a Friday the 13th because that's what you do.
Yeah, I almost got excited and I was like, and it's Friday.
No,
that's like the.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me Friday the 13th happens on a Friday every time?
No, I'm just that was.
Nah, you're cool, dude. You're cool.
So what have you watched? What have you been watching?
Well, I watched the whole list that I created so far. I've been watching them.
You're just already ahead. Or
No. I mean, I've seen all these movies on this list, but no, I am in lockstep with the movies.
That's pretty solid.
So I'll just go over what I like the most.
Yeah.
Carrie, the first one, I picked that first because I think that's just
That's a good one.
90 minutes. Brian De Palma, the way it's shot is insane.
Just
one of the best Stephen King stories to me, and one of the best book to stories.
Yeah,
and it's just.
I recently heard an interview with Stephen King where they talked about like what movies that made, or that what one of your books that went to movie do you really like? And he said Carrie was one of the better ones.
That is one of the like when you're because I read the book and seen it a million times.
You know what he didn't like? The Shining.
Yeah, which we watched last night.
That's such a good
one. And Olivia had recently read The Shining. I've read it, but not for a long time. And
I read that whole book on my honeymoon, and in retrospect, that's a wild book to read. I was like, "Oh, what are you reading?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
The Shining.
I'm fine.
Don't worry though, you're safe.
Like you're safe. I'm not gonna. There's no weapons nearby.
Yeah, there's one scene in there where he starts losing his mind, and she's like, "It's gonna be okay." And I'm just like,
freaks out.
Like, why does she think that what he just said is okay? That I'm gonna chop you and our son into bits? And she's like, "Okay."
Oh, all right. Like, well, you know your father. He's stressed.
Wendy,
like, great,
darling, light of my life,
light of my life.
Don't worry.
Anyway. So what
I'm
else?
Just gonna bash your brains in, bash them right the fuck in.
That's the movie.
Dude, I love that movie. I mean, I know it's not the best rendition of a Stephen King story, but what Kubrick did with that, I don't care. It's awesome.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So you watched Carrie? You liked that one?
Oh yeah, that's probably up there. And then I went off script on the Hellraiser day because we had covered that early. I watched Nightbreed again.
Yeah.
They released the director's cut, I guess, a little while ago, and dude. That movie's a perfect Halloween movie.
Yeah, you've been telling me about that one.
It's just monsters galore. They all live under a cemetery. Dude, it's just so... They're all... Like, it's pre-Hellboy cool monster stuff.
What year did that come out?
That's 90.
Okay, so it's like...
Clive Barker. What a monster. But then, one of my favorites, and I've been watching it a lot this year, is American Werewolf in London. That's what Saturday was. I love that movie.
That's a fan favorite of yours?
Of mine, yes. As a fan of that movie, it's my fan favorite.
God,
that was stupid.
Yeah, that was really.
Those are my favorites of the last week's watch. Yeah, Those,
Nice.
but I've been watching a lot, and I go off script and watch other stuff too. You know what I mean? It's just what I do.
Keith's been hitting up the Instagram. So a lot of their story posts. I think you've been keeping the people pretty up to date on Instagram.
Of what there's a lot
watching,
of nonsense on there. There's some
it's
bad ones on there.
It's funny. You would like. I wouldn't know what you'd watch, but you would. I get a little notification that like we posted a story, and I was like, nice. I know what Keith's watching.
And I'll forget to post for a little while, and then I'll just post a bunch at the same time. So people are like, how many movies does this guy watch?
All of them. Every single.
But I will say one little shout out to the mean one. Finally got to see it. It's the Grinch horror movie starring David Thornton who was Art the Clown as the Grinch.
Was it good?
Well, I inherently bad things, as you know.
Oh, big time.
So is the acting good? No. Is the story good? Probably not. But it's kind of gruesome, and the kills are cool, and him and the Grinch.
Is it the same? It's not the same like director. It's just the dude who played.
Yeah. I forget the director, but it's just a wild take on the Grinch, and it's just.
Speaking of Art the Clown, I don't want to forget. I tried to find. Did you see they're releasing the Blu-ray box set? It's Terrifier 1, 2, and the original one.
Oh, it's the All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve, all on Blu-ray with an Art the Clown little figure and stuff like that. No. I was gonna try and buy it for you, but they're selling on eBay right now for like $600.
Jesus. Well, I owned.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta try and get. But
like
because they said for the first time they're releasing the All Hallows Eve on Blu-ray. It's a steelbook too. All of them are steelbooks. And I was like, how cool would this be? So I didn't buy it for you, but I mean, I'm kind of a good friend.
Because I own. You are the thought's there. Terrifier 1 and 2 are on. I have them on Blu-ray.
Are those steelbooks or no?
The 2 is. 1 wasn't a steelbook. I didn't they only did like a European steelbook for that one, I think.
Yeah, but like you said, the pre-order for this thing, they only doing a limited run, and it went basically.
And Terrifier
like instantly.
Like their merch stuff is all like guerrilla.
Yeah,
they have their own website. They don't go through like a production company or anything.
Yeah, the T-shirts are not traditional sizes.
Oh, they are. No, I'm just kidding. No, but they have their own terrifiershop.com.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's really cool because they just put everything up themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like a whole.
It's the whole idea. It's how the movie was shot, which I think is like. But anyway, do you want to start talking about the movie that we're going to be covering? Which
sure. Well, speaking of Terrifier, I mean, this is kind of like a Terrifier style movie. I mean, it was way bigger than Terrifier. But
it was extremely low budget.
But that's what I mean. It was on the smaller side. I mean, the budget is still way bigger than Terrifier's budget.
Terrifier was like 3 buckets of KFC was their budget, basically. So yeah, we are doing Friday the 13th. I am completely blanking on the date that this came out.
It's 1980.
1980. It was directed by Sean Cunningham. The budget for this one was $550,000, which is quite literally nothing. And the box office was close to $60 million, which is, I mean, that's like pretty good.
I heard a number recently though in the one documentary that all said and done, they've made almost $1 billion on this movie.
Really? Well, I mean, I guess if you look, even like
maybe they might have been on the franchise.
Yeah.
But
well, if you look at like even the marketing and stuff like that now, if you go to like, I mean, I saw it the other day at Target, they had a Friday the 13th like Jason Voorhees action figure and stuff like that.
That's why I was like, when we were going to do this movie, I was like, oh, dude, nobody wants to hear this. Even though I love this movie, I just feel like most people hear Friday the 13th, they're like, oh, I know, it's Jason. Most people hear Halloween, they're like, oh, I know, Mike Myers, I get it. Yeah,
Mike Myers.
A color. He's a color. You know, and they hear like...
Yeah, Austin Powers, I know, Mike Myers.
Yeah, I like using, like, when I call him Michael Jackson, rest in peace, Mike Jackson. I think it's way funnier. I mean,
I was listening to Mike. You're like,
I just think like
that song Thriller by Mike.
Shortening a famous person's name that doesn't shorten it is so funny to me.
Sometimes I elongate.
That's
names,
funny too.
But it's like fake ones. Like there was one I saw like Post Malone. His real name is Postpone My Student Loans. And I saw that one. That was really stupid.
I think I'm gonna go home tonight. That's fine. That was it for me.
That'll do. That was the real Friday the reason the 13th
most people are like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen Friday the 13th. You know, it's fine. It's like kind of
Yeah.
put in with a hot topic shirts that you're talking. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Same with like Child's Play. It's like, oh yeah, I know the slashers, Freddy Krueger.
But this is one of
But
my.
like these movies are actually
they're
like
good
movies, especially this one. This is like almost like a.
Yeah, I think out of the original one, so I obviously like we've been rewatching a lot of these. I think this one is, if I had to pick like between Hellraiser, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. Did I already say that one?
You said Halloween twice and Nightmare.
Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Hellraiser. I think this is probably tied with Halloween for
Tied.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the pick. This is like a direct follow up rip off of, well, not rip off, but they even said when they were making it, let's rip off Halloween.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah.
oh, that
Like,
movie did so well.
yeah.
All right, what, can we do something smaller?
I mean, you can see it like with the, like just for how it was shot and stuff, like the first person view camera and stuff like that. I mean, that was in Halloween. That like with you could see like in the mask and stuff like that. I mean, there are like direct ties to it, and you're like, all right,
Yeah.
all right. I like it though.
But it's
It
cool.
works.
It's
like,
cool that they're like, all right, we don't have that much money, but let's rip off Halloween.
Let's be like, what can we do with a limited budget?
Yeah.
Be like, oh, we'll remake a movie and just call it something else. That's wild. Do you want to get into the cast, or should I go over the cast?
Yeah, we could. The cast is. I mean, most of them were honestly at the time no names.
Yeah,
like Kevin Bacon.
I think this is one of his. This was his first movie, right? Or one of his first.
He was in Animal House first.
Oh,
then
I always forget that he was in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is before Footloose, though.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like he's still not that well known yet.
Yeah.
Adrienne King as Alice, and Betsy Palmer as Pamela Voorhees. Yeah, those are like your biggest.
I did see the dude who plays Bill, Harry Crosby.
Oh,
Bing Crosby's son.
Yeah, Bing's son.
And he is a businessman now. He literally did 2 movies. He did one before Friday the 13th. Then he did Friday the 13th, and now he's just like a business executive.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it's like, oh, who's your boss? Be like, oh, he played Bill in Friday the 13th. But I don't know. Maybe some people wouldn't give 2 shits about
that's
that
cool.
fact. But yeah. A little fun fact before we get started. This was filmed not that in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, Jersey. Yeah.
Oh, I had the name of the camp. It was filmed in
Nobi Bosco.
Nobi Bosco. Yeah, it's a Boy Scout camp, and I think one of our coworkers actually. We were chatting with him, and he wants to go stay there, and then watch the movie.
Well, no, that's where he's a scout leader, and that's the camp they go to.
Yeah, I mean, it's still. I guess it's like it is a Boy Scout.
Yeah, so when they go
camp.
Yeah, it's a functioning camp now. I mean, they probably updated the cabins, but
if they don't
have
show
the same
that,
cabins in the movie.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to go rewatch this because I can.
Yeah, because he's like, I go here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty.
It's pretty crazy. Every year they go to this camp.
If they don't do a showing of, I mean, they're Boy Scouts. I guess you can't show Friday the 13th. There's like nudity and a bunch of blood.
But what's on TV now though? What are they? 13?
You're like, these kids are smoking crack right now. You're like, no, they're not, Keith. I don't know.
No, I just mean if I actually see stuff that's on that's PG-13 now, it's like
yeah. There's no nudity in PG-13.
I beg to differ. I feel like there is. I feel like you can get away with stuff.
You can do like a single butt cheek.
I just don't think it can be like sexual in nature. Like you could see like a whoa, but not like a no slow motion Tom Cruise Top Gun stuff.
No. What was it? What were we singing for when we were gonna bleep something out?
Oh, with arms wide open.
With arms wide open.
I heard that in public recently, and I
lost my cool.
Oh. All right, so another quick couple of production things. Harry Manfredini, he's behind the music for this, and he's also behind the signature. And
what are they actually saying there?
So he actually took at the end of the movie. You can see, whatever. We just spoiled it. Do I spoil it completely? I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know what the fuck. Why are you even listening to this nonsense?
2 seconds in, yeah. So the very end.
So you see her face. You see Pamela's face, and she's saying, "Kill her, mommy." But
yeah.
So he basically took the consonants, the k, and the ma, like from
Really?
yeah. And then that's how he just took
just,
that
like,
and he
made
just
it?
like he put it in like a sound loop thing, and he started getting this. I always thought it was like kill her,
Yeah.
because she says that,
Yeah.
but it's like
What
that.
is weird?
And they just looped that over and over again until it sounded nuts. And then
It's very effective.
and it
It's like
works.
very eerie.
And then you realize that the only time that the music is part of the movie, the only time that music hits is when you're in the perspective of the killer.
Yeah.
Or when the killer's around or something. It's
I
pretty
like
cool.
that. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's something that, I don't know. That's why I thought this movie's actually really a lot cooler than people think it is. It's not just like
they really think a lot of it through.
Yeah.
I also the special effects they did, the special effects guy,
Tom Savini.
yeah, he had been. I'm trying to remember what movie he did before this one.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead. He was basically hired for this movie because of how good he was for Dawn of the Dead. They wanted to call someone in who was like kind of an expert. So we'll highlight some nice kills along the way to point out his handiwork.
Yeah, he did Dawn of the Dead and Martin in the same year. Martin I did watch this year.
Yeah,
That's like
I haven't seen that.
It's another Romero movie, but
is
it's
it?
a vampire movie. Came out the same year.
Interesting. I literally didn't know Romero did anything but zombies.
Yeah, he did. He has a witch movie. He has that. He has the Crazies.
It's all. Oh, he did the Crazies.
The original one.
Yeah, the
Which is
original.
okay. It's okay.
The remake of that movie is nuts.
Yeah, I think the remake's better.
Yeah, I do too.
Honest.
Do you want to? Should we start?
But yeah,
going
real
over the
quick on
plot?
Savini though. This
Yeah.
is where he got to really shine after Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess he did shine in Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. I mean,
but he did this and Maniac in the same year. Maniac's another one of my.
Yeah, you like that one.
I like that one a lot. But he does all of the gore and stuff for that, and then he would keep doing stuff like The Burning, The Prowler, Creepshow. And then they brought him back for part 4 of this. You can tell the difference in his stuff.
Yeah,
like
I didn't know that he did Creepshow too. That's really cool.
Yeah, he did. Oh, have you seen Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
So he does that, and that's
one's
where
great.
Romero's stuff gets wild. To me, that's where it just goes next level.
Yeah. Some would say not for the best. Some of his later zombie movies are nuts.
Well, I don't really know the newer. He actually is in charge of most of those newer ones.
Yeah.
I've not seen Diary of the Dead, Land of the Dead.
Diary was pretty good. That was like
Yeah, I stopped watching after Day of the Dead, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
it
I
gets
saw the
kinda
Dawn remake, and then I think I kind of checked out.
Talk about a remake that goes hard.
Yeah, that's
that
a
movie's
hard remake.
awesome. I can't, and it has the dude from Modern Family in it.
Oh my God,
what's it? Ty Burrell.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't see him in that role. But
I just saw something with the mom from Modern Family in it. What the hell was that? I just saw some.
Vergara.
No.
Oh,
His wife.
wife. Was it a horror movie?
Yeah, she gets murked. What did I watch? I forget. Maybe it was on the list. I don't remember. I watched it this last week, and I was just like, "Yo, I can't take her seriously."
Yeah, that's nuts.
All right, let's go.
So Keith's gonna walk us through the plot on this one.
Yeah.
He said he wouldn't come over unless he could. So I don't know. We better.
Well,
listen.
no, you're probably gonna do most of it. I just have to start it. So, I also watched the uncut version, which I was hoping would be a lot longer, but it's really just each kill is like a couple seconds longer.
Yeah.
It's really not that much. But I guess they cut just enough so it could be R-rated instead of X. But,
okay. I mean, how long? So the
it's
normal
like
runtime.
Seconds longer.
The
I'm not
normal
even joking.
runtime is 95 minutes.
I think it's still 95 minutes. I'm not joking. It's like seconds longer.
It's just 1 second long.
I'm not even joking. I think the arrow scene is a little bit longer.
Okay.
The scene is a little bit longer.
Okay.
And I think there's like a
That's it?
It's really just the kills are just each a little bit longer.
What, did they just make them like a little more tame?
They just cut them sooner.
Okay.
So that I guess they can make it rated R. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Usually there's a significant cut. But anyways.
Yeah.
So you get Camp Crystal Lake, cold open, 1958. So this is before. And then they're all singing with their banjos, singing Hallelujah. And then you hear the kick. You also hear the kick already. And then you get the first instance of the couples going off to the cabin to
with arms wide open.
Yeah, dude, hit.
Yeah. Damn.
They get caught and they say, "We weren't doing anything."
Yeah.
And then
as my man's buttoning up his pants,
Yeah.
his pants are around his ankles, and he's like, "I wasn't doing nothing."
he's like, "No, it wasn't. No, we're just." So he gets gutted. You kind of don't really see that much of it, and then you see it zooms in on the girl's face. You hear the scream. It cuts, and then you get the classic. This is what I wanted to start because you get that classic Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I do love
it just
that.
comes flying in, breaks the glass.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest. And then you get the music credits, all that, and then it flashes to 1980, the present
day,
and then you get Annie walking through the town. I also think this part's awesome.
Yeah, this part is really cool.
So I watched 1 and 2 again before this because I put it on the list. So I watched 2, and the 2 is the town is also in 2. I just think the town is just like real interesting.
Yeah,
because it's like the closest point of human civilization.
I think the town, if they didn't have the town in it, like it does such a great job of setting the tone for like how quite literally everyone is like, fuck that place.
Yeah, because like, you get like the narrator,
there.
but their narrators are characters. So you get like the why shouldn't I go here?
Yeah.
You get the nickname.
Yeah.
You get all of that from the cast of characters just hanging out in this deli.
Yeah.
So you get Annie, she's going in with her giant book bag. She definitely should not be hitchhiking, but she is.
No. So she's supposed to be a camp counselor and a cook.
Yeah.
So I guess through some dialogue, you find out that Camp Crystal Lake, where this murder happened like 2 seconds in, is reopening, and this is like the first time it's been open in like a bajillion years.
Yeah.
So you kind of see all these different counselors, just kind of rolling up basically to get ready for camp.
Yeah, and she asks, can you guys tell me how to get to Crystal Lake, how far Camp Crystal Lake is? And then one person says, Camp Blood? They're reopening that? And everybody's like shook. And you're like, oh, shit.
Camp Blood, I forgot about that.
And then you get Crazy Ralph for the first time, which I think this character is awesome. He's just the
awesome.
local vagrant.
That, little like skipper hat on.
Yeah, he's got the skipper hat on. He's riding his little dirty bike.
Yeah.
He's like a grease ball.
So after he says, like, I think that line, I don't have the exact quote, but he was like, you're going to go to that camp and you're not going to come back. Like, you're going to die. Yeah. And
you're never coming back again.
The dude that was like offered to drive Annie is like, all right, like he's a town crazy. He's like he's the town doomsday or like prophet or whatever. But he gets on his bike and he starts pedaling away, and I think like where they actually shot it, it's like the beginning of a really big hill. So if you see right before they cut away, he like picks up speed like pretty fast. I watched it and I was like,
gone,
he is done when he gets on that hill.
He's gonna be hitting the back brakes. You just hear cinders, and he just fucking.
You're just gonna hear, oh my god!
He's just skinned on the side of the road. Yeah, he goes riding off his 1955 Schwinn piece of shit, and then Annie gets in the truck with this guy. She gets a ride halfway up.
Yeah,
it's like miles and miles away. She gets a ride halfway because that's as close as they'll go. And I'm like, okay, so now this girl has to walk the other 6-8 miles, whatever it is. Oh so 20 miles away. So if we're doing math, she still has to walk 10 more miles. So who knows how far she just walked from. That part I don't understand.
Yeah,
that would never happen today. Call an Uber.
The first driver, is like, basically as he's getting closer, he's like, "There's still time for you to not go." Like, yeah, I know that guy was weird. Like Ralph was being crazy, but like, you shouldn't go. Like in all seriousness, you should not be there. And then so at this point, she ends up. Did you have something you wanted to?
Oh, I was just saying. He starts giving the facts. Like 57. Yeah. The boy was drowned. 58, 2 people were murdered. Bunch of fires. Nobody knows who did any of it. So there's still like almost 20 some years ago. They still have no idea who.
They're still freaked out by like the whole thing.
They're like, yeah, we just don't go there.
Just be like, camp's done. So he drops her off, and then Annie ends up getting a hitchhike. She ends up basically getting a ride from another person who you don't see
in the Jeep.
In a Jeep, yeah, and you don't see them.
Yeah, and then you also. You meet Kevin Bacon for the first time, and him and his friends are riding to the.
So this is separately as she's getting like hitchhiking over. It flashes over to the other car with I guess who's in that one. It was kind of weird. I can never remember how, because there's a couple of them that are already there, and then like they roll up. It's Kevin Bacon. And,
the ones that are there are Steve and what's her name? Oh my god,
is it
Steve and Alice are there?
Alice, okay.
Yeah, Steve and Alice are already there.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 second.
Very good.
Yeah, so I think it's Jack and Ned and Brenda. I don't remember who's in the actual. But
basically, there's three of them in a separate car, just kind of talking about.
And then you get the first shot of the Camp Crystal Lake sign.
Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake.
I love that sign.
That's so sick. So they end up rolling up. This is where I think you finally meet the owner, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Christie's the owner.
They're basically just like trying to refurbish all the cabins. They get there and essentially he's right away giving them jobs. Like, hey, he doesn't even say hi to them. They pull up and he's like, "Someone give me a hand with this."
Yeah, he's like, ripping out that stump. I know he wasn't able to get that stump at that wiry little guy.
Yeah, that guy was
nuts.
He looked
pervert,
like
dude.
he looked.
He is, dude. He's creepy.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's like hitting on one of the counselors, which is not ideal. He ends up having to leave for supplies like almost instantly to just kind of get out of Dodge.
Yeah, I have that. He's looking like the construction worker from the Village People. He's got that weird mustache. I'm like, dude, what's up with this guy?
I thought originally he was chopping wood, and he's only raising the axe like 2 feet above the ground. And I was like, oh, this guy doesn't know how to do. Yeah, he does not know how to chop wood. But he was getting a stump out, so I'm like, all right, maybe it's whatever. So then, kind of separately, you're introduced to all the counselors, and then you go back to Annie as in the unseen car. They blow right past Camp Crystal Lake. And then she's kind of, I think she has a great line. She's like, "Hey, I think we better stop now." And you're like, "Oh, no shit."
And then it just goes faster.
Dipshit.
And then she just quick opens the door and just
tucks and rolls
out of there. So she busts her leg and she's hobbling through the woods. And I think this scene is awesome. She's like running through the woods.
Yeah.
You're following her, and then all of a sudden, I guess the driver is now tailing her.
Just rolls up on her. Yeah.
And you get the first person killer cam, and then she stumbles. And you just see a boot.
Yeah.
She falls to a boot, and then this was the first of the special effects that you get.
Yeah.
Where she's up against the
tree.
She's up against the tree, and you see the knife go across her neck, and then you shoot. Or you don't actually see it. You just see it. You see
like a little line, and then she moves, and then it all starts pouring out.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
And so that was the first one of Savini's like things.
Yeah,
so they had like
special effects.
So she had like a blood pump down her arm, and they had like that piece, just like a small like 2-inch piece on her neck, and it was already cut. So all she had to do was lean her head back.
Yeah,
and then it would just start.
It would start leaking,
and they were just pumping the blood, so it would just start coming out.
It's a pretty good scene.
It's cool.
So something I thought was really interesting about that scene, like, so obviously right away, we had someone who was killed. I think like in some other similar movies, like we talked about it like a little later with Scream and stuff like that. This idea of like the first kill. There's actually 2 first kills in this one, because the movie starts out with the original kills of like at the camp in 1958, flashes forward, and then another first kill happens, and I was like, oh, they really raised the stakes. They were like, you want a first kill? Here's 2 of them. So instantly you're what, 15 minutes into the movie, and 3 people have already been killed, which I just think is like, I thought that was really neat that they did that. So Steve ends up leaving back at the camp. Did you have something you want to add?
I was gonna say when because we've talked about this for Jaws and Scream. Yeah. So Psycho in 1960, that was also on the watch list.
That is on the watch list. Yeah.
That one, she gets killed. She's like that. They were. I was watching something where they relate that kill to this kill, where it's like, oh yeah, I was the setup girl. Yeah. I was the setup before the movie even starts to get you kind of understanding what this killer can do. So it's like,
so they're even borrowing it from another thing.
Yeah.
Man,
so
Hitchcock, he was wild.
Yeah, so they set you up with something. It's almost like, oh, this is your like queen for the movie, and then all of a sudden, Marion Crane murdered instantly. The iconic shout. Well, like 20 minutes in. But
20 minutes in, yeah.
That's kind of like
the shower stabbing, yeah.
But it's just kind of cool how that started.
Yeah, it's cool to see, like, as you watch more of these movies, like more horror movies, a lot of these genres like borrow from each other. It's I don't know, I think that's just really neat. So back in the plot, so Steve, the owner, ends up leaving the camp for supplies. It looks like there's a storm coming, so you can kind of see it off in the distance. And kind of separately, I think, so the kids are just by themselves now.
They're swimming.
They're just like doing all sorts. They're supposed to be, he's like, all right, I'm going to town to get supplies. You guys keep working. Like, I don't want to be behind with this storm. And instantly they decide to do like nothing.
And then your boy Ned does the classic squint thing where he pretends he's drowning until he gets the kiss.
Yeah. So there was in that scene, they're basically trying to float the docks out. They're pulling basically the last section to put it into place, and I don't know who it is, but out of nowhere the guy just does like a somersault on the platform.
Oh,
like out of nowhere, and I'm like, why did they need to do that?
That's cool.
Dude, he just does a somersault. I don't know why. So they get there. They're kind of swimming around. Ned does the classic. He's like the jokester in this, the whole time in this one. He does the classic like, oh, I'm drowning, and then he ends up just to make out with someone. They get back on shore. I think this is also the scene where he dresses up as like the Native American and stuff too. And he's like they're like trying to get like the archery range together, and he's just like shooting arrows like near people. It's just like, this guy's such a dipshit. Like, yeah. So I think then
and you got Alice in her cabin. And she has a snake. Now I found out that they actually had killed the snake in this movie.
Oh yeah. So there's something. I think it's a little earlier line. It was like, oh, what's going to be next? Is there going to be like, so they're all of the kids, I think it's the police officer tells them that like, hey, basically a police officer comes up to the camp. I think they're looking for, you know what scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, he's looking for Ralph.
He's looking for Ralph, the
crazy guy.
The crazy guy.
He knows they know he came up here and he's not supposed to be up there.
Yeah. Wow. I just completely got lost with where I was. Just in the plot, not in life. I'm fine. So, a police officer comes up as it's just the kids there. They're looking for Ralph, the crazy guy. And he ends up telling them like, hey, you guys need to be safe. Like a couple counselors were murdered here a while back, and like, someone drowned. And I think around this time, the one girl says, oh, what's next? There's going to be poisonous snakes in the bathrooms or something like that. And then you actually find out that there's a snake in one of their cabins. Yeah. He butchers it with a machete. And unfortunately, that was actually a real snake. So
yeah,
they killed a real snake, which kind of sucks. All right, you want to pick us back up?
It is what it is. Yeah, but officer, I have Officer Dipshit here, warning the kids, and he's just very aggressive. He's
the police officer.
He's like accusing them of like smoking and like all this stuff.
He's like, "What are you hopped up on?"
And then he passes off on a couple like B-grade drug jokes, and then he gets on his bike. And I actually, when I was watching there's the Crystal Lakes documentary, and they interview this guy, and he's like, yeah, it was the first time I've ever been on a motorcycle. So,
oh, really?
Because I don't know if you noticed, but he literally...
He's wobbling the whole way.
He almost dumps it twice, and then he speeds off, but he's just like... He seems like he's out of gear, and he's not going to get up the hill. Yeah. He actually fell off the bike filming.
Oh, really?
And, like, he almost dumped it during the filming. Yeah,
that's super embarrassing.
So funny. Why they even needed that part, I don't know.
They didn't.
But then it shoots to Ralph, and he pops out of that closet in the kitchen, and that's where you get that, you're all doomed. You're all doomed. Yeah. So, like, they were just warned about this dude. He pops out of the closet.
Yeah. And it's funny enough, because the police officer was looking for Ralph, couldn't find him, leaves. Ralph pops out, says, you're all doomed, and then gets on his bike that was sitting out there. So I don't know why the police officer didn't see him.
He's like, there's only one 1955 swin piece of shit in this town, and it's Ralph's.
I know it, because I just had to pick him up off side of the road after that hill incident. But
all right, so Kevin Bacon smooth talks his way out of the rain into the cabin with Marcy, and then Steve went for his soul supply trip.
Yeah.
Ned is MIA, and everyone else is in the cabin playing strip Monopoly.
Which sounds like a
with
shit.
Some potential grass, as they call it.
Yeah.
And then back to the love cabin.
The love cabin.
You get a close up.
That scene was just like a little too long.
Little love scene, and you get the butt squeeze kills me.
Yeah, I noticed that.
She squeezes his butt so hard. I was like, first of all, you're zoomed in on Kevin Bacon's butt, which I'm like, nice. But then she squeezes it real aggressively. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
But it was just like it was a very classic like 80s like I would say just like love scene where it was like, all right, like I know what's going on, and then it literally just like flashed to like a little like.
Yeah, like, I liked it. I just imagined him sitting there, like, all right, just squeeze a cheek. And she's like, what's up?
He's like, oh no, I heard they called the cut. Be like, no, it's fine.
Nah, squeeze his cheek.
Squeeze the cheek.
What? No, what'd you say? What? Just squeeze the cheek. Oh, like this? Harder. Okay.
We got it.
All right, then it shoots up, and Ned is actually above them.
Dead,
throat slit in the bunk.
Yeah.
So they do their thing. She goes to the bathroom. And Jack's hitting his little doobie, and then blood drips from the top bunk, and he's just like, "Oh, what's up?
Oh, what?"
So he's looking up, and before he can even do anything, an arm reaches up, and
the arrow
comes up right through his, straight through his throat.
That was another classic.
Yeah,
like there's a couple in this movie that were by I can't remember the guy's name. Tom Savini. There's like this is one of the ones that they were like, we need you to be very creative with some of these kills. And this was one of the ones that he was like, I got you.
So they actually have Kevin Bacon on his knees with his head coming through the mattress.
Yeah.
And then they have the fake body with the fake neck piece, like, so it looks like he's laying there.
Yeah.
And it's him and another guy under there, and there's a blood pump with a.
Yeah.
So the arrow comes up through, and then it's supposed to just pump out. But it got disconnected from the pump. They had one shot at this.
Oh, really? Jeez.
So the guy, his like henchman, ended up taking the hose and blowing into it, and that's why you get that
it just
gurgling.
like spurts out. I feel like that's more accurate though.
He's like
I don't
last
know,
second he
cool.
said to do it because they was going to lose the shot. So
Yeah.
he just did it, and it ended up looking crazier. I'm like, dude, that's so cool.
That is pretty sick how they can pull that shit
Now
off.
you get like CGI zombies, but back then they were just blowing blood through them.
through a tube. So and then so he's dead. So Jack's dead. You go back to Marcy in the shower or in the bathroom. She's just chilling there, and then the last thing you see is that there's kind of like, you know, classic little creaking things. Turns around, and then you see the axe swing up, hit a lamp, and then
It goes right in her head, yeah.
right into her head. So she's done.
And so he made a fake head, put the real axe in it, and then they actually they made another fake axe, cut it, and like glued it to her face.
Oh, so it was like they could bring it to, okay.
So they brought the real axe down, but they glued
yeah.
So it's her actual face. I don't know. It was really confusing. I guess I don't really.
I don't know.
The sequence is confusing.
Yeah. So now we're back in the so Marcy is Dunzo. Brenda. So this movie kind of jumps around a little bit.
I want to bring up one scene.
Yeah, sure.
Because the diner scene kills me.
Yeah,
when Steve's on his late night mission to get supplies or whatever the hell he's doing. But
I don't even know. Yeah, at this point, I don't know what
he's drinking. Coffee at night like a boss. That's the only cool thing he does in this whole movie. He's just kind of a loser.
He's like, I chop wood, drink coffee at night. What are you gonna do?
But drinking coffee at night is sweet, especially at a diner.
That's a cool guy move right there.
Yeah, that's like, well, I guess
you
you're not
smoke
actually...
an unfiltered cigarette and drink coffee.
But he throws on his little Georgie raincoat from It, and he's
wearing his little, like, slickers,
and then he breaks down, which is hilarious to me. Like how his night just got ruined.
Yeah,
but then he gets a lift back to camp from the cop.
So you're glossing
I have Officer
over
Bar Brady here.
You're glossing over a prime piece of dialogue at the diner. When the waitress comes by, it's like an older lady, and he's like, "How?" He's like, "What do I owe you?" And she just goes, "A night out on the town."
She's been smoking unfiltered cigarettes.
She's been drinking coffee at night for years.
Hey, thanks, Barb.
Hey, thanks.
Can I get you on a rain check for that date?
She's like, "Yeah, hon."
She's like, "I'm scamming on this underage girl at the summer camp right now. She's 17. I'm 38. It's fine."
He does say that. He's like, "Yeah, I should get back." She's like, "Oh, you shouldn't go back in the rain. Like, it's dangerous." And he goes, "Nah, I got a couple of the counters back there." He's like, "Couple of babes in the woods, literally." And you're like, "Oh,
he's
dude,
just a third ball."
Yeah, he's a scumbag. Anywho,
so he gets Officer Bar Brady takes him back, but then he gets a call about another, I forget what it is. I think it's a car accident. So he has to he leaves him. So he's walking up to camp, and then so then you're talking about, you got Brenda in the bed with the book.
Yeah. So it flashes over to when the owner when Steve walks up, a flashlight shines in his face, and he's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing out here?" So it's clear that he recognizes the person. So I just think that's just a cool little.
Oh yeah, and then you find out later that he does know this person.
That he does know the person. Yeah. So it flashes back to Brenda. She hears a little boy, like a little boy's voice calling, like, "Help! Help me! Help me! Help me!" That's so creepy.
It's actually really creepy. If you don't have the volume up, I think I probably missed this as a kid. I didn't understand what was going on for this delayed timer.
It is quiet. I actually saw that on the because I mean, we've both talked about like watching movies with subtitles. That's a good way to pick up on some dialogue. So she basically just goes outside to see what the deal is.
In her little nightie.
It's
pouring.
Yeah. So the lights turn on. She's walking. She's down by the archery range.
Yeah.
That's where the voice is coming from. And all of a sudden, like, a ton of floodlights turn on, and she just screams. And and it just flashes away from her.
So it's off screen, but she's donezo.
Yeah, she's done. And then where do we go from here? Oh, it goes back to Alice and Bill.
Yeah, and they're looking for her now because they can't find her.
Yeah.
They find the bloody axe in her bed, and they Scooby fucking do it. But like, their reaction to the axe is just like, she's
like,
not here.
What is going on?
She's not like somebody's gonna kill us.
There's blood on the axe.
There's blood on the axe.
Yeah.
So then they go, and the phone line's been cut.
Which is, that's just, that whole scene makes me furious. But
And it's also a full moon. The officer does say it's a full moon. Not only
Yeah.
is it Friday the 13th, but it's a full
it's
moon.
a full moon.
We get more murders, more everything.
More everything.
Yeah. What else we got here?
So Steve comes back. Steve returns. I think this is like I think this is when he actually like walks up and sees the light.
Oh yeah, then he gets fucking murked.
And then the unseen killer stabs him, so he's done. So Steve is out. I think after this is when all the power goes out. So the power goes out to the whole camp, which there is a scene a little earlier where they talk about like, oh, I know how to use the generator. Like apparently the power lines to this camp are like really shit. So we might need to use it. At this point, Bill goes out to check on the generator. He was the one that knew how to use it. Did you want to add something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that we never see him again.
Yeah, so he's just done. So Bill goes out to check on the generator. Alice, I think he's just kind of gone for a little bit, so she ends up following him out the door. She opens the door, doesn't see him. She calls out to him, and when the door swings back closed, you see him hanging on the door, like basically pinned to it with a ton of arrows in him.
Pin the arrow on the camp counselor.
Yeah,
that's a classic game that we used to
play.
Classic
game that we call Murder the Camp Counselor.
But yeah, and then this is another Savini thing, another Savini project that he did.
Yeah,
and so he actually wanted to do something like Steve Martin with the arrow through his head with the little thing over top. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
where it's like a fake thing.
Yeah,
he was like, yeah, basically needed to do something like that, but instead I did it through the front, and like
it was through his
wire.
eye.
The wire would wrap around the back of the head and then continue out the other side. So he's like, I tried to do as close to that as I could, and I was like,
Steve Martin. So this was there was a something cool I read about that. So if you look in this scene, I picked up on it like the first time when I just recently watched it. You can see his eye twitching. Like you can see him. He's on. I mean, it's actually him. A lot of them they didn't use like body doubles or like dummies or anything. So you see him. His one eye is twitching a little bit, and I was like, oh, like he was just. Like it is what it is. Apparently, there was a little blood pack behind it that was supposed to be like bleeding because there was an arrow through his eye. Apparently, that leaked through the cover on his eye, and the fake blood was getting into his eye. He had to go to the hospital, and he couldn't see out of his eye for a while after that.
What?
And basically, the reason he's twitching is because it was burning his eye. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So that sucks.
Like,
but they got
take,
the shot.
Don't fucking move. One take.
They basically, so apparently that scene was supposed to be longer. Like they were going to obviously have him there and like just have him on screen a little bit longer. But that's why it literally just closes shut. She screams and then it's like off.
Oh yeah. They were like, oh,
because he was like, they were like, oh dude, Bill is screwed right now.
Oh my God.
Or yeah. So I just thought that was a cool
I
one.
love how she runs. She basically sees this, screams, runs home, and she just starts doing the most chaotic piling.
Yeah,
on the door. She's just throwing everything in front of the door.
You know what? There's a continuity issue with that.
She also ties the door opens the wrong way for where she ties it. Right.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah,
because I was watching her do it. It opens the other way.
The door opens out, and she's piling stuff in front of the door to block it closed. Yeah, but the door opens the other way.
Yeah.
So why did she do that?
I don't know.
I mean, I obviously, I think funny. They were just, I think it's
if
just.
If you open this door, you're going to have to hurtle to get the fuck in here.
Yeah, you're going to have to high jump.
You're going to hurt your knees.
So
you what's up? You want to kill me? You're probably going to blow your knees out.
You're probably going to blow a cap out. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. So where were we?
Oh, she grabs the bat and a fork.
Yes. That's the least intimidating like bat grab I've ever seen in my entire life.
And then Brenda.
I've seen a lot of them.
So Brenda, who was deceased, R.I.P., she gets thrown through the window.
Yeah. So her body double in that scene, she is wearing a yellow dress, little nightgown when she goes out to investigate him. The stunt double, is wearing a white one. And so you see a white nightgown, and then when it zooms back in just on her body, it's yellow again. So that was a little continuity. I was
Dude,
like,
I would have just said,
I was like laser focused on.
I would have said, tie me
these.
up and throw me in there. I'm taking it for the team. I don't care if I get hurt.
I mean, apparently she did.
She's like, don't hurt me. I'm like,
hurt
me, please, hurt me,
please. Great, grab my cheek.
Grab my cheek. Dude, that is awesome.
That's such a bizarre scene. I hate that.
Then the Jeep rolls up. Big headlights again, which is kind of cool. And then we get a Pamela Voorhees coming around the side, and she's like, who are you? And she says, she's a friend of the Christies. Steve Christie's the camp guy.
The camp guy, yeah.
So that makes sense why he's not like, who is this lady earlier when she just...
When she's like, oh, what are you doing out here?
He's like, oh, stabbing you. Okay, ma'am, have a good night. Yeah, and then she gives us that creepy backstory to Camp Blood. His name was Jason. That's such an iconic thing.
Yeah.
His name was Jason. And then Jason was my son. And today is his birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, he's born on Friday the 13th? That's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
And then it shows the montage of the little... I don't even know what to call that thing.
It was just like I don't know.
That's a real person.
Yeah. That thing drowning?
Yeah. That's like they used a real person for that.
I hope that kid was...
His name was like Ari Layer, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, his life would never be the same after that. Oh, you're that freak from the first Friday the 13th?
Jeez.
He's like, what? Savini took you in the back there and made you look like a monster?
He's like, no, that wasn't even shot.
He's just like,
I was just out with my family.
Got like a big light bulb head. Like, what the heck? He looks so fucked up.
Like, yeah, that is a really...
My mom lets me eat out of the trash can.
They could have done without that. Like she could have just like described.
I love that. I love it. He looks fucked up. Dude.
But she ends up telling you find out that her son Jason Voorhees drowned there because the camp counselors were basically not paying attention. They were off, like she says, like, you know, doing drugs, drinking, like having sex, and like wasn't paying attention. So she's kind of made it her mission to get revenge on all camp counselors.
If you're getting some grass or some ass, I'm gonna kill you.
But
if you don't do either, you might live.
Yeah, and then someone off screen said, "Hell yeah, brother!
Hell yeah, brother! Kill me. I'm ready to die.
I'm ready to die."
Then this is where you get the kill her, mommy, kill her. She's doing like
she attacks Alice at this point.
Yeah.
So Alice is the last. Basically the last person alive. So at this point, she's just like, yeah, so she pulls out a knife and she's like, you're going to pay, like, you're all going to pay for what you did to my Jason. And then so it's like I guess a fight back and forth. And then that is a weird scene. She's outside, she runs away and she's like, kill her, mommy. And she's like, I'm going, Jason.
Yeah. So she's having like, all right, so this is, I think it's unintentional as far as I've heard, but it's like the opposite of Psycho. So Psycho, you have Norman Bates.
Yeah,
with his mother's dead.
Yeah,
and he has the split personality going on where he's killing as the mother and you know, he's the son. And then in this one, it's the mother,
the opposite.
And the son is dead, and she's got both personalities kind of going on in there. So you're like, what in the fuck is going on?
What the hell?
Yeah. But yeah, so she goes to get a gun with no bullets.
Yeah,
and she gets found in that closet, and Pam starts slapping the shit out of her.
Yeah,
and then she just
there was something that I just wanted to add this in. When they were filming that, apparently they said, like, I can't remember the actress who played Mrs. Voorhees. They were like, slap her. Like, you know, like you're in a fight, like slap her. Like, we just want to see what it looks like. Apparently they said go, and she like wound up and fucking cracked her. And she started crying, and she was like, you fucking hit me. She's like, yeah, you told me to slap you. And they were like, we meant like a fake
like a movie slap.
Yeah,
like, come on, it's Hollywood, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. So she was just like, yeet, just took her out, which I thought was so funny. Well, I mean, probably not at the time, but yeah, that was just that's pretty good. Anyway, back to the plot.
Yeah, she gets hit in the nards with the rifle and runs. Annie's in the closet with the frying pan. Here comes mommy, and then you
gives her the old Denny's special with that skillet, dude. That was nuts.
You get that. She winds up, like, grits down her teeth and swings the machete at her like so hard, and misses so hard.
She whiffs it.
So but instead of like stopping her, Alice just keeps like knocking her down, and then
she pushes her over, and then she wallops her with the pan.
Yeah, and then she's
just passed out, and she's like, "Oh, all
right, cool, I'm out of here."
Safe.
So she's tired instead. So what does she do? She goes to sit by the water to reflect, and then that's when she's looking into the water, and then Pamela shows back up like the Terminator. Dude, she's just like, she gets scarier and scarier every time you see her.
Dude, that haircut of hers is pristine throughout this entire fight too.
She's like a machine. She's unkillable.
She's got 10 gallons of Aquanet in that bad boy.
So they tussle very aggressively. Annie gets the machete, and then she turns it on her, and she's like, "Oh, you want to see how this is done?" And then she just lops her head off.
That was another
crowning
crowning jewel of the the special effects team.
Oh yeah, and this is my favorite one because
Yeah.
what he did is he has his buddy, his little
Yeah,
henchman.
you can see. I was gonna
His
say,
little
yeah.
henchman basically has Pamela's head attached to like he's like ducked down like this,
Yeah.
and he has like the head and the neck like attached to his shoulders, and like the neck it's all put on with like toothpicks.
Yeah.
And then Savini's the one who actually swings the machete. And
Oh,
he
really?
just hits it right in the spot, so then the head just goes flying off. So there's a person standing there,
Just
ducked
like,
down,
the head
basically
down.
doing the like, you know what I mean, like that
Yeah.
little.
That's
like,
really fun.
I have no head, and
You're
then
like, oh, where
the
did
head's
it
just
go?
the prosthetic head is just on top, and
Just
that's why.
flies.
And he hits it, and that's why you get that like spinning effect.
It's very effective, though. I think that's like a classic, evil guy down type shot. You know what I mean? So she's done, decapitated. Alice falls asleep. She's in a canoe, falls asleep in the canoe. It floats out, and I think she ends up just kind of waking up.
Yeah, her fingers like fall in the water.
Yeah.
She wakes up.
And now it's morning, so now like the sun is coming up. At this point, it's very, very quiet. She opens her eyes, she wakes up, and then Keith, do you want to ring us in for the last big scare?
Yeah, she wakes up, and then you get you don't like him, so I'll tell Ari that you don't like him, but
Yeah,
you
that's
get the
fine.
mutant Jason pops out of the water behind her back and basically pulls her in, flips her to the canoe,
Yeah,
and then it cuts, and
and
then
it's done.
It's done
Yeah.
until
Bum bum bum.
You wake
and then
up-
she wakes up in
you
the
go to the
hospital.
hospital.
So then I think basically one of the last lines is she's like, "Oh, did they ever find?" They're like, "Yeah, our police officers, like everyone there was dead, and we thought you were dead. Like we found you float like in the water, basically." And she says, "Did you see? Like, what about the little boy?"
What about the boy? They said, "Man, we didn't find any boy."
And she's like,
Then he's still
"Then he's still there." And that's the final.
Yeah.
That's the final line in the movie. That's a great last line in a movie.
And then it fades to the lake, epic Twin Peaks music.
Yeah.
Ba ba.
That's exactly what it is. Twin Peaks music. Oh, that's sick.
Twin Peaks before Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like think about it. That movie was a standalone movie at the time.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. There was no hockey mask. There was no
Yeah.
like.
That is the funny thing.
That's the
Everyone
craziest
like
part about
everyone's
that.
like, oh, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. The famous scene in Scream where he says, "Who is the killer in Friday the 13th?" She's like,
Yeah.
"It's Jason Voorhees." He's like, "Wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's Jason Voorhees."
Could you imagine if they never made another one and that was it? That's a
Yeah.
pretty haunting tale by itself.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool
But
standalone.
even like the covers of, because he doesn't show up until the second one,
yeah,
until like with the mask and stuff like that.
he doesn't even have a mask.
Or
for the
3
second
is when he has when he
Yeah.
finally has the mask,
2, he just has a sack on his head with one eye out because he
Yeah.
only has one eye.
because he's all sorts of fucked
Looks
up in that
fucked up,
movie.
dude. He's just like a grown up. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen 2.
So that one,
seen 2.
when you finally see him at the end, he's got like
Yeah, he's nuts.
He's like if you just took his head, you hit like age,
Yeah.
aged him out.
Yeah.
However many years it is, like 20 some years or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
then he just got like half a set of like long hair on the
Yeah.
one side. I'm like, dude, this dude.
He looks. I mean, he
fucked
looks
up
good
looking.
in that. He's supposed to look like a drowned body.
Yeah, like a bloated corpse.
Yeah, but I think it's so funny that the hockey match, even in like some of the stuff 3 and on, and then like Freddy vs. Jason, and then I think anytime that hockey mask became so iconic, and that's like not even remotely in the beginning of the series, which I think
Right.
just kind of adds to.
Hold on, and there's a movie.
I think it just adds to it.
There's another movie that actually came out, I think, in 1980 that has a killer in a hockey mask.
Oh, I remember you telling me this.
What the fuck?
But then they start to get a little out there with like Jason X when he's in space and
Yeah.
he has like a titanium faceplate, which you watched. You said you watched that recently, and I
watched all of them last year.
I stand by that movie is fucking dog shit. Jason X, that movie is the only cool kill is when he freezes her head and slams it on the countertop.
Oh, I like the part where he does that callback where he's beating the girl in the sleeping bag against the tree.
Oh yeah,
Where it's a simulation.
Yeah,
I love that part.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I forgot about that.
Oh, Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the
82.
Dark. Someone had a ski mask or a hockey mask.
That's
on.
what I'm thinking of.
Or goalie mask, I
Alone in
should
the
say.
Dark. Yeah, which I've seen and I like it. But yeah, that one actually has. I think that one comes out either the same year as Part 3 or right before.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it wasn't. I'm sure they weren't just like, oh, let's rip that off. I'm sure. It's,
Yeah, but I think I mean I really enjoyed where this one is different from the other movies that we talked about, like Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. You never actually see like the killer is not a scary person. It's just the mom. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that was really cool. I think they they let the special effects kind of speak for it. Whereas Halloween, it's like, you had the famous, like, the Michael Myers, like Nick Castle, like standing behind a bush. And like, I remember growing up and I watched that movie, like you'd be like, oh shit, like I'm on the lookout for like Freddy Krueger with like the sweater. But like this one, there's no killer.
Yeah, you don't have an established awesome. Like super villain yet.
Yeah, which I think is really cool in the first one. I mean, obviously, like we said later, that Jason comes back with a vengeance, but yeah, I like this one. That was Friday the 13th. Did you have any other notes or anything that you wanted to talk about with this one?
I like this one. I like a lot of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So I think 1, 2, and 3 are kind of like a watchable combo.
Yeah. 2 is good. I thought
4, 5, 6 I think is all. I think that one is a really cool trilogy.
What's the one? It was with the snake on the front.
That's Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell.
That's a pretty ass movie. That's the first one I ever saw.
Yeah, I remember you were saying you saw that in theater.
First Halloween I saw was Halloween 6.
Yeah.
Which we just watched. We found the producer's cut, so me, Jack, and Sean just watched that.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's first movie, Halloween
really?
6.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he plays Tommy in that. Yeah, not a great movie.
What year did that one come out?
That's 95.
Okay.
Same year as Clueless. So second movie.
Second.
Well, Clueless is the same year.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's in that.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good year for him.
Yeah, but that movie's not very good to begin with. But then the producer's cut has a completely different ending where I'm just gonna spoil it.
That's fine.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So there's a cult, the Thorn cult, and there's like a masked man that's behind this whole thing, and then you find out that Michael Myers has had like the sign of the thorn on his wrist the whole time.
So he was like,
so he's part of this killer cult.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So dumb.
So at the end of the movie, I think in both versions, he passes it off to Loomis.
Okay.
He ends up getting the rune on his wrist, and you're just like, okay. And
you're like sick, dude.
And then Donald Pleasance dies before the movie even comes out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then in this version, Paul Rudd, he's just getting chased down a hallway. He just takes these runes, these little rocks, throws them on the ground, creates this force field, and then takes some of his blood, cuts his hand, and puts it across the floor, and Michael Myers can't cross it, so he escapes.
And we're supposed to like enjoy that.
That's what happened. That's how it ends. And then they come back down. They come back down into that hallway, and what you think is Michael Myers is laying there is really the Man in Black laying there with Michael Myers' mask on. They pick up his mask. It's not him. It's the other guy. Donald Pleasance becomes the killer, Thorn Killer, and then you see Michael Myers just in the Man in Black's hat walking away. As
damn. So he got
away. Like, that is a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's garbaggio.
So thank God, Halloween H2O
Halloween,
comes out.
Yeah,
and then just like
backspaces
everything after 2.
That was the first one I watched, Halloween. So we had a debate. Is it Halloween H2O? That's what I always said. Or is it Halloween H20?
It's technically H20 because it's 20 years later.
Yeah, I kind of like H2O.
I feel like H2O is just what people...
I remember watching that on the Sci-Fi Channel before I went to CCD, which was my like nighttime. Did you ever have to do CCD?
I did.
It's like the nighttime like religious thing.
Yeah.
And I just remember they were like, "Oh, how's everyone's day?" And I was like, I'm in a weird mode right now.
That's a good movie.
That's great.
H20.
I really liked that one.
Are we gonna call it H20? Does that just sound like we're just computers?
H20.
H20. It's like somebody that read it but never saw it.
Yeah. I don't know. We can.
I don't know. Whatever. That one is actually a really. I like that
one too. They did.
I wish I saw that one first.
Yeah, I watched it on the Sci-Fi Channel with 5,000 commercials, so I would get like 2 scenes.
That's always
shot.
Awesome. But I remember Jason Goes to Hell and that one I saw around the same time. They were all. We didn't even get cable, so I was in my mom's room. I wasn't allowed to watch these movies, and it was on like UPN or whatever. And I remember I was doing the watch out like for the door, like listening. And I was just watching, and I remember just being terrified of like the old lady in the washing machine.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh my god, she's in the washing machine.
She's in there, dude."
And then the guy in Jason Goes to Hell, this guy gets his throat cut, and then this stuff starts pouring out of his neck, and then this monster comes out of it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so gross." And I watch it now, I'm like, "That fucking sucked."
You're like, "This movie is garbage." It's good though. I love all these original ones. Yeah. Friday
I think they're
13th.
fun. They're fun. They're fun ones. This one's definitely a fun movie. I always have a good time watching this one.
I think this one is probably the most serious out of all of them.
You think it's more serious than Halloween?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You're like,
fucking all right. No, it's definitely more serious than Nightmare, for sure.
Nightmare is not a serious movie. Nightmare on Elm Street is on par. This might be a hot take. Is on par with Killer Clowns.
What?
For the lack of the later ones are on par.
Okay, yeah. After you get past
Killer Clowns.
after you get past 1, 2 is pretty much just a joke the whole time.
You start to see it a little bit at the end of 1 where Freddy is the car.
Yeah, and then you start out with 2 where he's the bus driver from hell.
Yeah, like it's just
2. I will say, they really just started going off the deep end. 3, I think, is more. So 1, 3, and 7 are the ones that Wes Craven actually did.
Yeah,
and those are the ones with Nancy in them.
Yeah,
those are the ones that people actually like watching. I think 2's fun.
What one is it where the dude tries to like kickbox Freddy?
Oh, is that
4?
It's one of the. I get them all. I watched all of them last year, but after 3, those 3 kind of blends. They give you a crazy backstory where his mother was like a nun.
Yeah,
that's a really weird, twisted thing they probably don't need to do.
Yeah,
that's real weird. And you're just like, oh, that's what this plot is.
I just remember that scene in particular where he's like, "You go, I'm gonna fight him," and he just like squares up. Yeah, and you're like. You really think this is gonna go your way, pal? Huh? That's just so stupid. All right, we're getting away from.
This is my favorite part of the episode where we just say whatever the hell we want.
God, I realized you said that during the last one we recorded too.
Oh, it's 4. You're right. It's 4.
4. Yeah.
Rick versus Invisible Freddy.
Yeah, and you just see like the finger blades.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
Oh, he's gonna fuck him up, and then
he instantly dies.
Yeah, that's Dream Master. Yeah,
fucking idiot, dude.
Yeah.
Dipshit City coming at you live.
But did you have any before we go? Did you have any movies that you watched for Halloween so far that you just stood out that you liked? Just like a highlight.
They're all the same kind of.
You said you watched the Romero ones.
The Romero ones, I did. I mean, Dawn of the Dead. I always love that movie. I will always watch that movie. That's probably my favorite zombie movie. So it's always a treat when I get to watch that.
Dude, movie. I might say Day of the Dead's up there for me now.
I
really like Bub, and I like the gore is just like all the arms like coming through.
Gross, yeah.
It's like real gross.
I watched the 1960 Dawn of the or Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead, yeah.
I think the 90 remake is better.
Like it better? Well, what I'm going to tell you to do is do this. Watch the original one in color. They colorified that.
They did. That one's good.
I did that for the first time this year. It was kind of cool. I've always watched it in black and white. I watched it.
Yeah. They did an okay. I mean, they did it with. They basically just tried to like. I don't know if they used AI to do that one because it was a recent thing that they colorized.
I was like, that was also done in the 90s, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen the one in color. I think the black and white one is just like, I don't know. I think that one's classic.
Oh yeah, no, it's literally the same movie. They didn't reshoot anything.
They just put color in it.
It's real. I don't know how they do that. I wanted to look it up, but
I don't know.
The fire looks awesome.
Yeah,
because you can actually see like the flames.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff does get this, like especially the scenes, the scene with near the gas tank. Like the gas
you're right, 2009.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was more recent than.
Yeah, I thought it was late 90s.
They did a remake, like I said, they did a
the 90 remake with Tony Todd. Yeah, I love that. Is actually
that one's great. But yeah, I don't know.
I did that one last year instead of the
original.
I like it. Yeah,
that one's. I think that it's the same story. It's the exact same plot.
I do like the 28 Days movies, or 28 Days Later and 28
28 Weeks Later is really good. There's just so many. I don't know.
I also like the Return of the Living Dead. Those movies are
good. They're like kind of silly though.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But I mean, I like my.
They're pretty cool. That's side. Like a toxic waste lab, and you're like, yeah. That reminds me. Those movies remind me of. Do you remember that game Zombies Ate My Neighbor?
Yes, that's what I had. That I think. Do I still have that for Super Nintendo? That's one of my favorite games.
Yeah, that like those movies. I'm like,
it is.
They just made it into a movie, which I don't know. They're very good.
Yeah, Dan O'Bannon involved with that, with Night and with Alien.
Yeah,
and a bunch of other stuff. That was his.
It's
weird.
Yeah.
Romero went Dawn. He went Return.
Yeah, and then they
went two very different. I think most people that like Romero do not like the Return of the Living Dead, but I'm like, why not have both?
Just have both.
It's fun. Yeah. They're just fun. Like they're stupid.
Yeah. Like awesome. you can enjoy Jason X and this Friday the 13th. What a dog shit thing. Yeah. So overall, hyped to be in Halloween sizzling on Friday the 13th. Blessed. All right. What do we got?
Yeah, just
Should we wrap it up from there?
keep watching horror. Go to some haunted houses. Oh, I totally forgot to talk about the Mahoning, but I guess we'll just do that next time.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say I saw. I'll just say real quick. I saw Pulp Fiction and
There's a little double feature.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
At the Mahoning.
Awesome vampire movie.
Yeah. So from Dusk, it was perfect for Halloween because that's probably one of my favorite vampire movies. And Savini is in the movie.
Is he really?
Has Sex Machine. He's the guy with the pistol weenie. That's him.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He's an awesome.
Speaking of vampire, I know we just said we're gonna.
We're done. We're freaking done.
30 Days of Night. Have you ever seen?
That one? With who's the main? Not Josh Hartnett. Is it Josh Hartnett? It's a heartthrob.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. That's
another
a violent
vampire
one.
movie. Yeah. All right, we better dump.
Yeah,
it
it's
here.
Josh Hartnett, dude. I was freaking right. All right, let's dump it.
Awesome. Well, again, if you guys are enjoying these, let us know. Reach out to us. We hope you guys have been enjoying our little Spooktober stuff. We're coming up on about halfway.
Yeah, we're halfway.
Halloween.
Halfway to Halloween. Just throw on a little Halloween 3. That's what we're about to do.
You know what that means, right? You know. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what you're saying.
All right, let's get the hell out of here.
Okay.
But Keith, just remember, he's still there. I don't know, we've been trying to pick quotes and stuff. What one are you going to pick from Friday the 13th?
I don't know. You're all doomed.
You're all doomed.
You're all doomed.
I'm going to pick, it's not a quote, but it's the scene where he's about to hit that wild hill on his bike.
Oh my God, dude. Well, he gets offed in the second one. He gets garroted. Garroted.
He tried to warn everybody.
His carotid gets garroted.
Gets corroded. Oh, sick. All right. What quote should we finish with?
That was fine.
Okay.
Dump it.
Then he's still there.
He's still there. Or no.
Oh my God.
I got it. All right, Nick. Sign it off. Just remember, his name was Jason.
Until next time.
Oh wait, no, I got it. I got it. No, this time I do got it.
Fine.
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday. It's Friday the 13th. It makes sense.
Until next time.